Gilad Hirschberger, for joining us today and sharing your insight all the way from Israel. Now we move on to our next news. In a firm message to King Mohammed IV, U.S. President Donald Trump has reaffirmed support for Morocco's sovereignty over Western Sahara. Trump called Morocco's autonomy plan the only realistic solution to the decades-long dispute with the Polisario Front, which is supported by Algeria. This marks Trump's first comment on this issue in his second term, reinforcing a position he first declared in his final days in the office. He also praised Morocco's role in the Abraham Accords and said that the U.S. will continue to work with Rabat on security and trade. Algeria still rejects any autonomy deal and is demanding a referendum with independence as an option. Now we're joined by Mark Sutherland. He's a geopolitical analyst, joins us live from London. Thank you, Mark, for joining us. Good to see you. Now, how significant is this President Trump's reaffirmation for support of Morocco's sovereignty over Western Sahara?
Good to see you this morning, thank you. I think this is extremely significant. One of the reasons why is that we have to go through so much history, because this is where Morocco then recognized Israel and is all part of the Abraham Accords at that point in 2020. This dispute has been going on since the independence of that area, since 1956. And when you reference a referendum, which I believe was then agreed to then be held from 1991 until 2001, that referendum had not been sought at all. This is a huge dispute in regard to the Western Sahara there, which is on the west coast of Africa at the top there, and Algeria refused to come to the table at this point. And this is all, again, as I say, all part of the Abraham Accords. Maybe for a lot of us, we hadn't realized, again, how many countries President Trump is then seeking to be involved in that, to then seek a whole peace for the region. And as I say, when we are now in 2025, and then you had independence in 1956, this has been going on for some time. So any cessation of violence, any point of then turning around and saying, right, good, we will now seek peace, is a good thing. However, Morocco says, yes, that area can have its own autonomy, but it is our then sovereign territory, and this is where the dispute lies. And in the past, the International Court of Justice has also been involved, Asuma. So it's complex, but
yes,
fast moving.
Yes, and Mark, now looking at Abraham Accords here, what role do these accords play in the US-Morocco relationship, and how might they influence future diplomatic efforts regarding Western Sahara?
Well, they play a huge role. I think there's been a huge gap for 4 years, as in you then had the Biden administration. So Trump is turning around and going, the Abraham Accords, I want peace across that region, which of course mileage-wise is immense. We are talking of a huge area. Of nearly 100,000 kilometers. Square kilometers. We are talking a huge area, and they play in the eyes of Trump in regard to the Abraham Accords a huge role, because he wants peace in his eyes through trade, through countries then trading economically, and then seeing that is the best route to peace across the whole of that region.
And building on your answer, do you think this could, the success of this Abraham Accords, lead to a shift in regional alliances, even within Morocco and Algeria?
It could do. I mean, as you've been looking at the Middle East further to the east of the Western Saharan region, There has been so many changes with regimes falling. As we say, we look at Syria, but and with the ongoing war against with Israel against Hamas, what's been happening in Iran, etc. That is then playing out in regard to all of the Abraham Accords and what President Trump is then seeking, which is peace across the region. And always at the center of that, as I say, is dealing with it economically. But it's also economics is what is at Trump's forefront, because he's looking at what that region then has that they can then trade with. He just wants to bring people to the table to have a discussion. And Algeria, and as you said, with the rebel army there, are then refusing to then do it at this time. So there is a lot to play out at this moment, Asuma.
Thank you, Mark, for sharing that insight. Please stay with us. We come back to you for our next discussion.